From constant disagreements
Stop! What are you doing? Stop!
to difficult decisions, intense emotions, and an unexpected conclusion.
All I care about is my family. That's it. That's all I care about. I don't care about the business.
Here's the story of how Chuck's turbulent journey on 90 Day Fiancé ended in sorrow following his sudden passing. Chuck Potthast was a Tampa property entrepreneur who established his enterprise from nothing, building a stable existence for his extensive mixed family. Relaxed with a typical Florida father style, he never anticipated reality television turmoil. As parent to 6 children, Elizabeth, Jenn, Becky, Charlie, and 2 others who remained off camera, Chuck already managed complex family relationships. Everything shifted when Elizabeth came home from vacation, announcing she'd encountered Andre, a man from Moldova. Wanting to support her, Chuck hesitantly entered the 90 Day Fiancé world. His logical inquiries about Andre's employment, motives, and reliability soon ignited years of televised family tension. Beginning with Elizabeth's new partner, Chuck encountered immediate strain when Andre arrived with concealed information that would trouble the family for years. Elizabeth Potthast's connection with Andre Castrovet provided 90 Day Fiancé with some of its most unforgettable scenes. When Elizabeth initially introduced Andre to Chuck, the unease was instant. Andre possessed an authoritative demeanor and straightforward communication style that irritated Chuck. He originated from Moldova, a small nation unfamiliar to many Americans, and his background raised concerns for Chuck.
Elizabeth told me she was pregnant. You could have knocked me over with a feather just because he came over here, got married, and then knocked up my daughter without any plan in place to support her.
Chuck's original doubts seemed reasonable. Andre was unclear about his previous employment in Moldova. He had served as a police officer, then worked security, and his explanations for leaving Moldova remained vague. Chuck feared his daughter was hastening into marriage with someone she hardly knew. The cultural differences alone were substantial. Andre maintained traditional perspectives on gender roles that conflicted with American norms. The Moldova wedding situation became one of the program's most discussed story arcs. Elizabeth desired a wedding in Moldova so Andre's relatives could participate. Chuck consented to finance it, despite having already paid for a Florida ceremony. This meant Chuck was financing 2 complete weddings for one couple. The Moldova excursion transformed into a catastrophe from the beginning. Chuck and the Potthast family traveled to Moldova, where they felt completely out of place. The cultural contrasts were fully visible. Andre's family organized a traditional Moldovan celebration that cost considerably more than Chuck anticipated. There were claims that Andre was exploiting Chuck's generosity. The other Potthast siblings began wondering why Elizabeth received such preferential treatment. The inquiry that persistently followed Chuck remained consistent. What does Andre actually do for work? Even after obtaining his work authorization, Andre evaded regular employment, which the family interpreted as dependence on
Chuck's finances. Every family meeting evolved into the same dispute. Chuck supported Elizabeth and Andre, intensifying his other children's bitterness as he continued financing weddings and costs they constantly monitored. Progressing to financial issues, Chuck's generous loan to Andre ignited envy that converted his prosperous enterprise into a family conflict zone. Chuck's choice to include Andre in the family property enterprise initially appeared sensible. Andre required employment, and Chuck needed assistance managing his holdings. It seemed logical theoretically. In practice, it revealed complications that would damage family bonds for years ahead.
You want a loan?
Like 100 grand, maybe? I don't know how much of a first house is gonna be. I want to flip it. I want to make profit. I want to do it again. I want to return your money.
Chuck possessed Potthast Properties, an organization managing rental units throughout Tampa. The company had been prosperous enough to maintain Chuck's comfortable lifestyle and assist his adult children when necessary. When Chuck proposed a position to Andre in the company, he likely believed he was addressing multiple issues simultaneously. Andre would obtain income, Chuck would gain help, and Elizabeth would remain content. The other Potthast children perceived it differently. Jenn, Becky, and Charlie had all been employed in the family business at different times. They felt like observers watching their father provide special chances to their sister's husband.
The tension during family events became intolerable. Every business choice Chuck made concerning Andre was examined and challenged by the siblings. Then emerged the $100,000 loan dispute that erupted across several episodes. Chuck lent Andre and Elizabeth a substantial amount to initiate their own business enterprise. The precise sum was disputed, but it was clearly significant. Chuck's other children were enraged. They accused Chuck of favoring Elizabeth and providing opportunities he never offered them.
I'm really proud of you. You got your real estate license, but that doesn't mean you can flip a house. You have no experience and you don't know what you're doing. What do you bring to the table to help me, to help my business?
I'm just gonna be a hard worker and I'm gonna...
Okay, stop.
I'm gonna
Stop.
share the
Come on,
profits
stop.
of you.
Stop.
Charlie, Chuck's son, was especially outspoken about the perceived preferential treatment. He had worked in the family business and believed he never received equivalent financial backing that Elizabeth obtained. The other sisters repeated these grievances. Every family meal became an examination about finances, business choices, and why Andre warranted such special consideration. Chuck found himself continuously justifying his decisions. He contended that he was assisting his daughter and attempting to provide Andre with opportunity for success. But his clarifications never satisfied his other children. They saw a father being influenced by Elizabeth and exploited by Andre. The business Chuck had established became a cause of family separation rather than harmony. The allegations moved in both directions. Andre and Elizabeth asserted that Chuck's other children were envious and unambitious. They implied that Charlie and the sisters desired financial assistance without exerting effort. Chuck was trapped between them, attempting to treat everyone fairly while maintaining his business operations and preventing complete family disintegration. Observing the business conflicts was challenging, but the family gatherings proved worse. The Potthast family became renowned for hosting the most disordered family events in 90 Day Fiancé history. What began as unease during meals escalated into physical confrontations broadcast to millions of viewers. Charlie and Andre's conflicts became legendary among followers. During one family occasion, Charlie and Andre required separation after Charlie made claims about Andre's history in Moldova. The confrontation was so intense that security needed intervention. Chuck observed helplessly, watching his son and son-in-law attempt to physically fight.
Stop. What are you doing?
Stop. Stop. Stop.
The sisters, Jenn and Becky, consistently provoked situations. They would make remarks intended to irritate Andre, then appear surprised when he reacted angrily. They challenged his motives, his background, and his relationship with Elizabeth repeatedly. Their conduct frequently seemed planned to generate drama, and it succeeded every time. Chuck would attempt to begin meals with peaceful intentions, hoping for one ordinary gathering. Within moments, someone would comment about money, Andre's employment, or Elizabeth obtaining preferential treatment.
All I care about is my family. That's it. That's all I care about. I don't care about the business.
The table would burst into shouting matches. Food remained untouched. Individuals stormed away. Chuck would sit, appearing weary and overcome. The question audiences debated was whether Chuck enabled or mediated situations. Some supporters believed Chuck should have established boundaries and halted the continuous fighting. Others thought he was doing his utmost in a difficult circumstance. Chuck rarely took firm positions. He would try to calm everyone, request respectful behavior, then watch as his family disregarded him and continued arguing. The Moldovan investigation assertions introduced another explosive component. Charlie and his spouse began circulating rumors that Andre had a questionable history in Moldova. They suggested he had participated in illegal activities, and that explained his departure from the nation. These allegations were never verified, but they created additional material for family conflicts. Andre was furious about the claims. Elizabeth defended her husband. Chuck attempted neutrality, which only increased everyone's anger toward him. Investigating Chuck's history, researchers discovered bankruptcy records and tenant grievances that contradicted his affluent television image. As Chuck gained fame through the program, individuals began examining his background. Their findings raised questions about Chuck's financial status and business methods. The man who appeared to have unlimited funds to lend his children and finance weddings had a more complex financial history than viewers understood. Public documents showed Chuck had submitted bankruptcy paperwork previously. This wasn't recent, but it contradicted the wealthy property tycoon image the program presented. Followers began questioning how someone who had declared bankruptcy could now finance multiple weddings, provide six-figure loans, and support several adult children. Chuck's property management business also encountered controversies. There were complaints from renters about property conditions and disputes regarding security deposits. Some previous tenants posted negative reviews online, depicting a landlord more focused on earnings than tenant well-being. These disclosures didn't improve Chuck's appearance, particularly when he portrayed himself as a generous family man on television. The question of how much Chuck actually supported his adult children financially became a popular topic. He clearly provided substantial assistance to Elizabeth and Andre, but what about his other children? Charlie claimed he never received equivalent help. The sisters indicated Chuck was more generous to Elizabeth than to them. Was Chuck creating reliance by continuously financially supporting his adult children? Some viewers argued that Chuck's financial assistance prevented his children from achieving genuine independence. Elizabeth depended on her father for her business and lifestyle. Andre's entire American career relied on Chuck's connections and money. Even when they claimed independence, Chuck's financial support always remained in the background. Others supported Chuck, stating he was simply a father trying to help his children succeed. He had the resources to assist, so why wouldn't he? The issue was that his help appeared to generate more conflict than appreciation. Every dollar Chuck spent became weaponry in family arguments. His generosity, rather than uniting the family, was dividing them. Observing his evolution, Chuck transitioned from concerned parent to reality personality who seemed unusually accustomed to the turmoil damaging his family. Watching Chuck across multiple 90-day Fiancé seasons revealed a compelling transformation. The man who initially appeared as a worried father gradually changed into a reality television figure who seemed almost accustomed to the chaos around him.
My worst nightmare. I thought I was gonna see my family to get healed tonight, but it got worse.
In early episodes, Chuck seemed genuinely concerned about Elizabeth's decisions. He asked challenging questions about Andre. He expressed real anxiety about his daughter's future. But as seasons advanced, Chuck appeared to accept that drama had become part of his existence. He attended family gatherings knowing they would become conflicts. He continued filming even when situations turned unpleasant.
Dad, stop. I cannot believe you allowed that piece of destroy our family.
I don't care about the business. All I care is about my family. That's it. That's all I care about.
Chuck's parenting decisions appeared increasingly concerning as the program continued. He kept arranging family events, despite their inevitable transformation into arguments. He continued providing money, feeding resentment among his children, and he rarely established firm limits, permitting identical conflicts to recur. Viewers observed Chuck enabling the chaos, season after season, as his family's problems grew more severe and difficult to ignore. Interestingly, Chuck's relationship with Andre enhanced over time. The original hostility diminished. They began collaborating more harmoniously. Chuck seemed to genuinely value Andre's work dedication, even if his other children didn't. This improvement in their relationship only increased the resentment of Chuck's other children. Becoming a grandfather visibly transformed Chuck. When Elizabeth and Andre had children, Chuck's face would brighten around his grandchildren. He softened noticeably. The tough questions about Andre's work ethic mattered less when Chuck was engaging with his grandchildren. Family became less about business and finances, and more about the future generation. By later seasons, Chuck had become a recognizable reality television personality. He conducted interviews. He interacted with supporters online. He seemed to comprehend his role in the program's narrative. The transformation from private business person to public figure was complete. Chuck Potthast was no longer just Elizabeth's father. He had become a character himself. Then everything altered when Chuck received devastating cancer information that money couldn't resolve, compelling his conflicting family to finally confront reality collectively. Everything changed in 2022 when Chuck received a bladder cancer diagnosis. After years of televised family drama, he finally encountered a crisis that money and patience couldn't resolve. He chose transparency about his condition, sharing his treatments, fears,
and recovery with viewers and supporters. His openness motivated others to take their health seriously, and the experience prompted him to encourage his family to reconcile. The treatment was challenging, but it succeeded, and Chuck eventually reached remission. He returned to filming appearing healthier and more optimistic, and followers celebrated his recovery. In September 2025, Chuck underwent significant hernia repair surgery and shared positive updates from the medical facility. But behind the scenes, a much more serious struggle had commenced. His cancer returned unexpectedly, this time as metastatic glioblastoma, an aggressive and incurable brain cancer. The deterioration was rapid and overwhelming. Unlike his initial diagnosis, the family maintained this recurrence private, choosing to face the devastating news away from cameras and public attention. Racing toward the conclusion, Chuck's aggressive brain cancer returned without warning, taking him at merely 64 years old permanently. Chuck Potthast died on November 9, 2025, at age 64. He passed away surrounded by family, losing his cancer battle far too early. The man who had become a fixture on 90 Day Fiancé, who had managed years of family drama on television, was gone. The family waited 2 weeks before making a public announcement, taking time to mourn privately before sharing the news globally. When the announcement finally arrived, the tributes from Chuck's children revealed their profound loss. Elizabeth posted on Instagram that the family was absolutely shattered. All the drama, all the conflicts, all the disputes that had unfolded on television seemed insignificant facing this loss. Her father was gone, and the suffering was overwhelming. Becky, one of the daughters who had frequently clashed with Elizabeth and Andre on the program, posted emotional words about a distorted world without their father. The sister who had participated in numerous family conflicts was now mourning beside the sibling she had contested for years. Death has a method of putting minor disputes into perspective. Jenn shared sincere prayers for her father's peace. What made Chuck's death even more touching were the final videos and photographs that surfaced after his passing. Mere weeks before his death, Chuck had recorded cheerful content with Andre and his grandchildren. He was smiling, playing with the children, seeming to appreciate life. These videos, posted after his death, showed a man concealing the seriousness of his condition to protect his family and maintain normality for his grandchildren. Nobody viewing those final videos would have suspected that Chuck was fighting an aggressive brain cancer. He maintained appearances until the very end. It was a final gesture of love for his family, providing them happy memories and ordinary moments even while dying. Scrolling through responses online, grieving supporters agreed Chuck deserved better, calling him the peaceful core his chaotic family continuously damaged. When news of Chuck Potthast's death emerged, the reaction from supporters across social platforms was immediate, emotional, and overwhelmingly sympathetic. Even viewers who had criticized other Potthast family members concurred on one point. Chuck was the soul of the franchise. He was the consistent presence, the gentle mediator, the father who always tried to maintain his chaotic family united, even when it cost him. Many supporters reflected on how deeply Chuck cared for his children, even when they complicated his life. One comment that resonated through numerous threads stated, "I always felt terrible for Chuck. You could clearly see he loves all his children and simply wanted them to harmonize desperately. R.I.P. Chuck, hope you finally discovered peace." That feeling became the emotional center of the fan response. People saw a man who genuinely loved his family, even when the program amplified their worst moments. Viewers also recalled specific episodes where Chuck's heartache was visible. The famous pool party conflict was mentioned repeatedly, especially by supporters who still felt secondary pain watching him break down. That particular episode with the pool party fight, he was so distressed his children were arguing. I don't know if it was scripted or not, but
Genuinely felt terrible for Chuck there, one supporter remembered. Another added, "Indeed, Chuck had a compassionate heart. You could see how upset he'd become when his children would argue." There was widespread sense that Chuck never warranted the stress and conflict surrounding him. Several supporters expressed regret that his children hadn't unified during his final years.
Others commented on how emotionally divided he seemed during filming, especially as the family grew apart. You could tell it caused him pain that they were so separated. He was truly one of their last external connections, a longtime viewer mentioned. Another added directly, "That's awful. He held them together." Even supporters who found the family drama entertaining acknowledged that Chuck's suffering felt too genuine. One viewer admitted, "It was truly heartbreaking to see Chuck's reaction in that episode. And I must be honest, watching Andre take Charlie to the ground was a highlight for me. But the most repeated sentiment remained simple and sincere. Poor Chuck. May he rest in genuine peace, something he never received from his family." Ultimately, supporters honored him not as a reality television character, but as a good man who tried, until the very end, to keep his family complete. Chuck's legacy continues through his children and grandchildren, who must now navigate existence without the man who kept them united, however imperfectly. If you found this narrative engaging and want to hear more detailed explorations into reality television personalities, press that subscribe button and join our community.